Beyond 3D. Hello everybody, welcome back to Beyond 3D this week. Hello, Matt.
We're going to start?
Yeah, we're started.
Oh, okay.
Look at the time.
Wow. We should start, shouldn't we? Anyway, Clint, how are you this week?
I'm good. Been soldiering on and fighting off this dreaded lurgy that's going around.
Yeah, I think it personally comes from all the barium that was released into our atmosphere.
No coincidence, was there? Both of us were directly under it at the time.
Unbelievable.
I refuse to get sick.
Nah, I can't be bothered with that, but a lot of people around here have been feeling the effects of chemtrails and things like that. So it's really been a shame that I'm finally seeing this stuff in and around the peninsula, but oh well, what can you do? Outside of that, the week's been okay?
I contacted the local member of parliament.
Ooh, this would have been interesting. What did they say?
Nothing.
Didn't know anything about it, did they?
No, didn't even respond.
Didn't even look up in the sky a bit?
Didn't even reply to my email.
Okay.
That was, 2 weeks ago now? Yep.
And the election's coming up.
Yeah, well, that's your forum. It's your country. It's your home country.
Oh, no. There's an election here as well.
Oh. The difference between those two is one of them is rigged and the other one appears to be sort of swayed by the people.
Well, the rigged one is the United States. We all know that. But, yeah. I noticed how Bernie Sanders decided to come out and say that he will now work with Hillary Clinton. He will try to do his best to make sure that Donald Trump does not get the White House.
Look, that's a good thing for Bernie.
What will he get?
Why is anybody even questioning why Donald's going to the White House? It's not going to happen.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, if it does happen...
It's not.
That's, you've been saying this for years now. We'll see what happens.
Listen, did you see what Hillary Clinton, she came out on Twitter this week?
Yes.
Over Donald Trump?
Yes, tell him to close his account or something like that?
Donald... Yeah, exactly. Donald Trump tweeted, Obama just endorsed crooked Hillary. He wants 4 more years of Obama, but nobody else does.
Well. Look.
And her response was, delete your account.
Yeah. Now, the fact of the matter is, here's what will happen. If Hillary Clinton becomes president, Donald Trump better find a new country to live in.
Yeah.
And a few other journalists that I can name better find a few, better start appeasing in some way, shape, or form, because they will be in they'll be in big strife, let's just put it that way.
I don't even know how he's going to come back from this. I don't think he can.
We'll see what happens.
No, seriously?
We'll see what happens.
You actually think that nobody's going to want to get into business with him? He's shown his true colours very clearly over the last probably last 12 months.
Yeah, but that's what it takes to get to the presidency in a sense. I think what really it's going to come down to the fact that Hillary Clinton, as we discussed when they went to the Bilderberg meeting back in 2008, going into 2009, knew that she was next on the list.
Well, that's when that's where they sorted out.
Yeah,
years in advance.
And now the fact that Obama has come out and said that he would support Hillary Clinton as well.
For more than a year now, across thousands of miles in all 50 states, tens of millions of Americans have made their voices heard. Today, I just want to add mine. I want to congratulate Hillary Clinton on making history as the presumptive Democratic nominee for President of the United States. Look, I know how hard this job can be. That's why I know Hillary will be so good at it. In fact, I don't think there's ever been someone so qualified to hold this office. She's got the courage, the compassion, and the heart to get the job done. And I say that as somebody who had to debate her more than 20 times. Even after our own hard-fought campaign, in a testament to her character, she agreed to serve our country as Secretary of State. And from the decision we made in the Situation Room to get bin Laden, to our pursuit of diplomacy in capitals around the world, I have seen her judgment. I've seen her toughness. I've seen her commitment to our values up close. I've seen her determination to give every American a fair shot at opportunity, no matter how tough the fight was. That's what has always driven her, and it still does. So I want those of you who've been with me from the beginning of this incredible journey to be the first to know that I'm with her. I am fired up, and I cannot wait to get out there and campaign for Hillary.
Now,
the Democrats are closing ranks.
That's what I was going to say to you, because a lot of people still wouldn't understand how the American political system works. So Obama is a Democrat.
Yes, he is.
Hillary Clinton is running for Democrat.
Yes, she's a Democrat as well.
Bernie Sanders was Democrat.
Yes, he was.
And now because him and Bernie Sanders and Hillary had to get the right amount of votes to see who was going to lead the Democrats, Hillary got the more votes.
She got more. Yes, she got more.
Allegedly,
delegates.
Allegedly,
for the convention, so therefore she can have the Democratic nomination for president. And
so now, what party's Trump?
Republican.
They must. A lot of them must just. There must be people in the Republican Party in the United States who do not fall in line with the Don's principles.
I would say about 90% of them.
Okay.
And the problem with it is, it would have been fantastic if he had run as an independent candidate. The Republicans could have put up Ted Cruz or Rubio or whoever the heck they wanted. You could have had Trump playing the role of Ross Perot from way back when. And it would have been really quite straightforward, quite easy to deal with. The fact that he ran as a Republican put the Republican Party on the back foot. They didn't know what they could possibly do. The thing about it is, I really don't care about I was a member of that party, but I quit. And the reason I quit was because I saw what the real game was about. It was all about the power controlling everything that was going on.
Well, a lot of people think that the President of the United States runs the United States, and he doesn't.
He's the commander-in-chief. He's like the CEO of a company. There are different people underneath him, a.k.a. all of the secretaries of defense, of energy, of state, that are running all of these departments. He is the commander-in-chief of the military, but that's about as far as it goes. The Congress controls the purse strings.
And the secret government above him.
Yeah, well, that's totally outside of both Congress and outside of the president, or the executive branch, and the judiciary for that matter.
Thanks to Bilderberg.
Thanks to Bilderberg, which is now going on in Germany, I believe.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally right now.
Let me just look that up on a Saturday.
If you look it up, you'll find out. I know it's coming up. Bilderberg will be happening in Germany now. We will see who is there. I believe Henry Kissinger is not going to be there. And David Rockefeller is also going to fade into the background. That's what I'm hearing anyway.
Well, these are people that have been very prominent targets for those people demonstrating against Bilderberg.
They have.
So I wouldn't be surprised
the ones that are going are the young guns, a.k.a. Mark Zuckerberg. Tom Schmidt, I believe his name is, from Google. And all of these kind of guys are the ones that are now, all of a sudden, stepping up and going to meetings like this. And it's really interesting to watch how the dynamic has changed over the last 10 to 15 years. The fact now that there were journalists in the United States that would report on Bilderberg and it was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I know.
Would never even been mentioned.
I think Alex Jones really...
He went through it.
He went through it. He spearheaded that.
Yes, he did.
Putting a spotlight on Bilderberg.
What's that got to do with Bilderberg?
What have I discovered about Bilderberg? The BBC was able to get the documents decades ago that they helped found the euro, which was actually a Nazi German plan to take over countries economically. No, that's on record. And I've interviewed members of the EU Parliament on the subject who were out there at the event.
But what's that?
3,000 people. They turned 1,000. Bilderberg is heavily involved in the EU plan and helped hatch it, and it is a Nazi plan. They had Lockheed scandals, just like the big lobbying scandals right now in the 70s, and that's why the SS officer, Prince Bernhard, the founder, had to step down. It is the ultimate lobbying meeting while you guys have this huge scandal going on. Your prime minister's going there. Balls was just here, Bilderberg group member. We have forced them from cover.
Yes, I mean, if you talk to Alex for any length of time, you discover all kinds of things that you didn't know about the world.
We've blown it wide open.
You have. You have absolutely blown it wide open. But it leaves me with a huge question for you, Alex. And it's really, you have uncovered the New World Order, which is deadly. It's full of what you call people who are criminals. Well, this is what I'm coming to. It's full of criminals, etc., who seek to run the world and will kill anybody who gets in their way. And you are almost, have been a lone crusader powering against them.
No, that's
so, how come?
How am I alive?
How are you still alive?
Why am I alive?
No, which is, yes, listen,
why am I alive?
Which is the explanation?
Let me tell you a story. First. 5 years ago when Obama and Hillary...
5 years ago when
Hillary and Obama were at Bilderberg, and the Secret Service was there in helicopters. The New York Times came out and said I was crazy. There was no Bilderberg group meeting. And my wife got phone calls, and so did I, threatening to kill us. And the people said, and you better take it serious because you were just talking to your dad that was in the hospital. You better shut your mouth or we're going to cut your head off.
But
now
that's
they
were going to kill you.
They listen to everybody's phone lines. They call up and harass people that expose them and tell them what they were just talking about. They're going to say there's no spying.
Alex,
it's like Nazi Germany. You only spy on the bad guys, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, if they kill me, it turns me into a martyr. It puts big exclamation points on the end of what I've said, and I have put out a lot of information. There's millions of others that are exposing it. And look, we have mega banks that are getting $85 million a month of U.S. taxpayer money. Most of it goes to Europe and England. British taxpayers, EU taxpayers have to pay to these mega bankers. They're in there setting this up. It's come out because you guys think that you can manage the whole thing, and now our information's gotten too big. I have 3 million radio listeners a day. That's a low number. 3 million. I get about 50 million YouTube views a month. That's a very conservative number. I make films, put them online for free, that get watched 40 million times, like the Obama deception. And that's why. Hey, listen, I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game. Okay, our government in the U.S. is building FEMA camps. We have an NDAA where they disappear people now. You have this arrest for public safety, life in prison. You will not stop freedom. You will not stop the republic. Humanity is awakening. Infowars.com. No.
Beyond 3. And because of that, all of a sudden he was, a quack, tinfoil hat, conspiracy theorist extraordinaire, the one that you don't want to listen to. But now all of a sudden it's reported in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, the Telegraph, the Financial Times in London, everything. It's all over the place now. So they finally admitted that it's out there, but they did not give kudos to those who way back when were out there trying to expose what was going on.
And branded as crazy.
Absolutely. They're still branded as crazy.
Yeah, but that's convenient.
It is. But so be it. The fact of the matter is Bilderberg has been around since the 1950s. They do meet on a yearly basis. I personally believe there's another secret meeting that happens, and Bilderberg is now a front. There's got to be something else going on.
Well, they're too well known.
And when you get too well known, what you basically do is you keep that going as a front, and you're over here. The old bait and switch.
It won't take long.
They'll find it. Ultimately, they'll find out what that is about. George Soros is now supposedly the big kahuna. Well, the big cojones, anyway, the one in charge. So we'll see what happens going forward. The thing that's going on, and what the Republicans are saying and the Alex Joneses of the world are saying right now, is that Donald Trump is the last and best hope for the United States of America. Just hear me out. I can see a look on your face.
I was just thinking about Bernie. I reckon Bernie's way better.
Yeah, but he's a socialist.
Go for it.
Go. And so, according to the fact of the matter is, as far as the guys like Alex Jones and all of the so-called alternative media, Matt Drudge, the Drudge Report, things like that are concerned, Donald Trump is the last best hope for the United States.
I'm very proud of myself. What a great honor it must be for you to honor me tonight.
According to them, he is the only way the United States could possibly become great again. And that was the whole saying that Trump came up with, let's make America great again. The fact of the matter is, black Americans would look at that statement and say, okay, you're going to go back to the past and make America great again. Like when? Because to be perfectly honest with you, for the last 250 to 300 years, you've been kicking us in the ass. Up, down, sideways, left, right, no, everywhere. So how could you possibly state that we're going to make America great again? Because as far as we are concerned, if you go back into the past, you've just basically taken us back to what? Slavery times.
Project Pegasus can do that.
Good Lord. But this is the whole thing. So Trump is supposedly the one that's going to be more of a nationalist. He's going to be more of an isolationist. He's going to get rid of the NAFTA. He's going to get rid of the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. He is going to make sure that jobs come back to America. And he's going to build his now famous, or infamous, wall.
If I decide to run, you'll have the great pleasure of voting for the man that will easily go down as the greatest president in the history of the United States. Me, Donald John Trump.
Well, Rosie O'Donnell's disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. You take a look at her, she's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. Rosie is a loser. So probably I'll sue her because it would be fun. I'd like to take some money out of her fat ass pockets. Part of the beauty of me is that I'm very rich. Let me tell you, I'm a really smart guy.
I am really proud. I am really honored.
I just don't know what to say. I have no response to that man. I have nothing. Look, he's got a lot of good ideas. His execution of those ideas and the way he verbalizes it is absolutely lousy.
But the fact of the matter is it's very effective because of what he did, he got a lot of publicity out of it by being an idiot about most of the things out there, by pushing people's buttons. All of a sudden he was recognized. I'm still going back to the point where he was the one who was leading the birther movement, talking about Barack Obama is not who he says he was as far as being born in the United States is concerned.
Barry Soetoro.
Yes, that guy. So based on that, totally understandable. But now all of a sudden he's running for a high office, the most important office some people would say on the planet.
Prestigious.
Prestigious indeed, but the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, he's not fit for it.
Oh God, no! He's a basket case. He's a basket case. He will destroy the world.
Now, but here's the other thing. On the other side of the coin, you have Hillary
That's
Clinton.
my opinion.
Yes, well, you're entitled to your opinion. On the other side of the coin, you have Hillary Clinton, who is a known criminal, who is known for doing things that can,
Benghazi.
Benghazi. Not even go. You don't have to go that far. Whitewater, the Arkansas Mafia with her husband, all of the things that she's been through. But the fact of the matter is she knows where all of the skeletons are buried because she's buried most of them. And most of Washington elite know that if they mess with her, they will have hell to pay. But in her defense, she was Secretary of State, so she has an idea of how the system works. She's been in Washington from the Watergate times as a lawyer, so she knows exactly what's going on and how these guys play the game. In that regard, she probably is more qualified than Donald Trump could ever be in the next 100,000 years to be President of the United States.
She's done her apprenticeship as far as American politics
As far as politics is concerned, you cannot refute it.
No, absolutely not. Probably more so than any other president that's come before her.
Been through it all, and so in that regard,
and that's scandals as well. Like, she's faced court. She's dodged that many bullets.
Oh, but let's name a president who hasn't.
JFK.
JFK had plenty of scandals, most of them around women, just like Bill Clinton.
Ask me that question again.
JFK? Ask you that question again. Okay, let's see. Name a president who didn't have scandals.
No, you said name a president didn't dodge a bullet.
Oh, JFK. Ha 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 ha. Well, if that's the case, McKinley, Ronald Reagan, yeah, great. Now, name a president who didn't have a scandal in their administration. They all have.
No, I couldn't.
Every single one of them, going back to George Washington, they all had scandals.
Even Tony Abbott.
Tony Abbott. Well, but this is the thing about the U.S. political system. Yes, there are two parties, there are other parties, there are a whole lot of people running for president, but the two main parties, Democrat and Republican, are the ones who basically get into office. It'll be fun to watch. They're gonna lambaste each other.
I tell you what I find interesting was that back in October 2012, Hillary Clinton made a very secret visit to a defense base in Western Australia. Now, look, it's one of those things again when we never know what's going on. There was no need for him, there was no official visit. It was fly in, fly out. There was no official visit. That was back when she was...
was that Secretary of State time?
Thank you. U.S. Secretary of State. Yeah.
Well, as Secretary of State, you have your own little plane and you can basically take off and land anywhere. She might have been on the way to somewhere and decided to just have a quick stopover. It's possible. I don't believe that. There was a reason for her being here, but we'll never find out what it is.
Why would you fly all the way here for a stopover?
Or she could have just been traveling to the Middle East to do some of her dirty work. As in raising billions of dollars from the Saudis.
It was 2012, so you'd have to go back. Any listener that's interested in going back and looking at what was going on in world history around October 2012 and why there would be a need for Hillary Clinton, the then Secretary of State, to actually come and visit here, who knows? Dig.
Beyond
Guys, welcome back to this edition of Beyond 3D. We're waxing philosophic about what's going on politically, both here in Australia and in the United States of America with the upcoming elections. And we're also talking about what's going on with the Bilderbergers and how they're meeting over in Germany right now.
Can I talk about Italy?
Ooh, I know. What's his name? Mario Draghi got a standing ovation in the parliament.
Okay, why?
Oh, why not?
No, seriously, why? I don't know anything about
Goldman
it.
Sachs stooge, named as president, basically. Didn't even have to go through an election, but I guess maybe their economy is starting to pick up a little bit.
I wanted to talk about Lucifer.
Lucifer? The light bearer. Oh, Lucifer the telescope, as in... the Vatican Observatory. That kind of stuff?
Yes, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Go for it.
I watched an interview this week by a team who was allowed to go and inspect this telescope called Lucifer that the Vatican have. And they quoted one of the, what would you call them? The guys that look after the telescope.
Oh, they're all priests, cardinals, bishops, monsignors.
Let's say Monsignor. They spoke to one of the Monsignors who explained to them that with this telescope, Lucifer, what makes it so special and different to every other telescope around the world is that the lens, being able to see antimatter. And allegedly this Monsignor was talking about this antimatter and saying that this antimatter is sentient.
Sentient?
Yes.
Since the dawn of our civilization, all the way to the time of this breaking news, we humans believed that everything that exists up there is only what we can see with our eyes and with our optical instruments. Well, things have changed now, because we have established the existence of entities existing in our terrestrial environment, and these entities are completely invisible to our eyes as well as to our optical instruments, but are fully visible with new instruments, therefore dramatically enlarging our conception of the perceivable universe with far-reaching possibility of future development and discoveries that perhaps are beyond our imagination at this time.
The revolutionary telescope is designed to detect antimatter in deep space. By antimatter, we mean an entity with characteristics that are the exact opposite of ordinary matter, including the index of refraction of light, which is opposite. Now, when ordinary light passes through, that lens focuses the light and can be recorded, or the image recorded, by a digital camera. Should antimatter light pass through the convex lens, it would merely be dispersed along the walls of the telescope and not be focused at all. Now, when antimatter light passes through the concave lens, it is then focused and provides an image that can be recorded by a digital camera.
Originally conceived and constructed is telescope for discovery in deep space. Our telescope had essentially the same fate because it was originally conceived for the detection of antimatter galaxy way deep into space. However, to our great surprise, we discovered that our telescope can equally detect entities in our terrestrial environment that are completely invisible to our eyes, to our binoculars, but they are fully visible in cameras attached to our telescope, for which reason we call them invisible terrestrial entities, ITE. We have detected at least two types of ITE. The first type, also called dark ITE, essentially consists of entities leaving a dark image in the background of digital cameras attached to our new telescope. And the second type, called bright ITE, essentially consists of entities leaving this time a bright image in the background of digital camera attached to our telescope, often visible without any enlargement. Our discoveries of invisible terrestrial entities has been independently verified by American astronomers, also according to publications available in the internet. I am a scientist, formerly from MIT, Harvard, and other leading institutions around the world. As such, my duty is that of documenting the existence, quote unquote, of those entities. The question of what those entities are must be answered by our government, because those entities appear to conduct unauthorized surveillance of rather sensitive civilian, industrial, and military installations.
What we have learned is that reality is much bigger than we originally supposed. Reality consists not only of things that we can see and observe with our eyes and ordinary telescopes, but things that we can't see with our eyes and with ordinary telescopes. Allows us to see things that we have never seen before.
A priest is saying this. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. Now, you know somebody from there, yes?
Brother Consolmagno. He's the new director. I haven't heard anything about antimatter being conscious. I've heard other things being conscious, but not antimatter. We're gonna have to call him. I'm supposed to get him on this show.
I know.
I think I better make a phone call again. See where he's going these days. Because the main telescope for the Vatican outside of Vatican City would be in Phoenix, Arizona. Therefore...
And allegedly, that telescope in Phoenix, Arizona could have been put anywhere. But the reason it had to be put on this particular mountain is that allegedly it is a stargate.
Ooh. Now that's interesting. I'm going to have to do a little bit of looking up here.
It's Native American land as well, and they did everything they could to hang on to this particular mountain because it was a holy mountain to them. And the reason it was a holy mountain is because it is allegedly a stargate.
Wow. I'm looking it up, folks. That's what I'm typing in here to see what I can find out.
Your multitasking is...
I'm multitasking, which is very hard for guys. There's Brother Consolmagno with the poop.
Now, with Lucifer, surely they can track... the incoming alleged Nibiru.
You would think so. You would think so.
Because I'm seeing more and more attention on that these days as well.
There have been a few articles out on Nibiru. I've been seeing those as well myself. It's there's a lot of other things going on weird in the galaxy right now. There's a lot. Well, we've talked about this a lot, Clint. The fact that there's been a lot of NASA and other space agencies revealing a lot of things that are going on out in the galaxies. Now we have more planets out there. It seems now that every star that you can see shimmering has at least a few planets circling it. All this kind of stuff is going on. So I'm not surprised. Now, as far as Nibiru is concerned and what's going on that way, we'll know what, if anything is really happening. I think we'll know about it soon enough. So as Clint was saying, sacred ground in Arizona, and the Advanced Technology Telescope, Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, known as VAT, V-A-T-T, is at Mount Graham, Arizona, in the USA. We're going to have to do a little bit of search and look at the area around that. We'll see if there are any ley lines or anything going on there.
Cool.
We'll need to know a few other things. If the natives consider the area sacred, it would make sense to put something on sacred ground. Easier to hide things. They can actually have visits. They do tours on Saturdays during the season when the roads and the telescopes are accessible, and the roads are passable and the telescopes are accessible. Yeah, oh, well, interesting. The Mount Graham International Observatory, operated by who and who, and yeah, that's all you can really say.
No Horton.
No, Horton didn't hear him. Discovery Park Campus, Eastern Arizona College, official visitation agent for, that's it. You can email them and get information, all that kind of stuff. But no, it would be interesting to see what was going on. Now, Lucifer, the light bearer, telescopes gather light. It takes them a long time to do so. Nibiru is coming around. The Vatican has been known, or at least there have been people at the Vatican Observatory that have been known to believe in extraterrestrial beings. They constantly talk about the fact that they are preparing the faithful, the 1.2 billion Catholics, for the fact that there are beings from other planets.
Mm-hmm.
I've read a book.
I've read a book too.
Called called the Jehovah Prophecy, which was a guy that was up in, I forget the name now, but he was up in Queensland, and he went to a planet not over 9-day period. He was taken up by aliens, and he went to this planet, and they explained to him a lot about what was going on Earth, what level the Earth was at as far as evolution, spiritual evolution was concerned, and they also showed him the body of Christ.
I always held the opinion, even from the young age of a kid, that he was not from this world.
According to this group of beings, he was one of them, and that was one of the incarnations he used when he came to this planet. And they actually had an astral projection of the body there on this planet.
Okay.
But according to the person who wrote this book, if you truly want to find where the Christ is buried, don't go to the Middle East. Go to the Far East.
Like Asia?
As in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yes. And it's very interesting, very fascinating.
That would be the absolute last place you'd think of looking.
It would be the last place you'd think of looking, but according to him, what his research has shown was that is exactly where you would need to go.
There in Tasmania.
What's left of Tasmania. Poor place.
This time of the year, it's shocking.
Oh, unbelievable. All the floods and everything going on down there, but I digress. But it was very interesting. The Vatican, I think, knows more than they're letting on. I believe that they are in... Yeah, well, what are you going to do? They're in cahoots with certain governments around the world. They have information that would turn religion in and of itself on its ear. Therefore, it is in its best interest to keep its mouth shut.
Look, they're a business now.
That too.
The Vatican. They're all about making money.
They make a lot of money, but the fact of the matter is the Vatican wouldn't exist if it weren't for the Nazi Party.
Of course.
And the fact that Pope Pius was in there with Hitler doing his thing, and he basically, with Mussolini involved, got the land which is now known as Vatican City. And, hey, wouldn't exist if it weren't for the Axis powers.
Or the way they just took it.
That too. But it's very interesting. I'll get in trouble because as a good Catholic boy, I'm not supposed to mention any of this kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is history is there. Fact is fact. The truth is the truth. And if you don't like the truth, change the way you do things.
Beyond 3 D.
Hello. Antarctica.
Antarctica is a place I want to fly over, if not land on. Go ahead.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck landing. No, Antarctica. I was just looking at some stuff on Antarctica this week in regards to Nazi bases.
Oh man, they got to be there. Admiral Byrd.
Well, who knows if they're still functioning?
Functioning? Did we were talking about the Hollow Earth theory?
Yes, we were. Last week.
Therefore, I think what you're talking about is it's quite pertinent to what can be going on down in Antarctica, and the fact that the Nazi bases and the fact that they had what we would allegedly call flying saucers.
Yes.
And bases down there where they built all these things and they dug a little too deep, let's say.
Yes.
So what have you been reading?
No, I was just glancing through it this week. I probably shouldn't have even mentioned it because I don't actually have anything real to add of value to it, but I was looking at all the new openings in the Earth that have been discovered down in Antarctica.
Quite a few, I would think.
Well, Antarctica is a really interesting place in regards to exopolitics, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Agreed.
They've been photographing like Nibiru quite well down in Antarctica, allegedly.
You would think that if they can photograph that so-called Planet X, that it would be in mainstream media. They would be saying something about it because it can have a dramatic effect on what goes on this planet. Why aren't they?
There'll be no more show. I can tell you that much now.
Well, we'd have other things to think about, quite frankly, as in survival.
Pizza.
But it's fascinating to me that the scientists out there know that something, whether it be a warp in space or a wobble in space or something like that, they can see something's coming in. It's just a matter of what kind of an effect it'll have.
Well, there's also that planet that has something orbiting it that blocks out the actual planet a good portion of its rotational time. And scientists are trying to work out what that actually is. Give me a chance and I'll just quickly see if I can find it.
As you're looking that up, I'm trying myself to find something out with Antarctica, because when you mentioned that, I thought of Admiral Byrd, and I want to get the name of the mission that he ran down in the Antarctic after World War II ended.
Okay. But that was when the Nazis got help from the Americans and bugged out under Project Paperclip.
Paperclip was the project, was the operation that brought most of the Nazi scientists and everything to the United States, changed their names, and all of a sudden NASA was formed. And they were the ones who did most of the rockets. All the Saturn V rockets and things like that were all, what's his name? Not Albert Speer. What's the other one? Werner von Braun. He was the one that took care of all of that. But there was an operation that happened down in the Antarctic after World War II had ended. And there was a big fight. Admiral Byrd went in with basically a flotilla and decided that they were going to search out the Nazis and find out what was going on down there. Operation High Jump.
Okay.
And
it's quite ironic considering where they were.
So it says here, 1946, the Secretary of the Navy, James Forrestal, appointed Byrd as officer in charge of the Antarctic's development project. And so they took a flotilla of ships, went down to the Antarctic, and got their clocks cleaned by what some people were calling Foo Fighters, but certain vehicles were seen coming out of certain caves in the ice and wiped out half of the fleet, and they had to go back toward Patagonia with their tails between their legs. They got wiped. And they're saying that was the Nazi war machine that had gone down and came up with all of the anti-gravity technology, and basically didn't really want to cause too much of a commotion down there, but basically was saying, we're down here, get out. What do you do?
I just keep saying because I already know all this, but it's great that we share it with everyone else.
So hey, what can you do?
Don't go down to Antarctica.
Oh no, we have to go down there. You want to see that? There was an Australian woman that did an expedition down there, and I'm trying to remember the story, but she went down there and she was going to go to the South Pole. There was a group of women. They might have been from Victoria for all I know, either that or Tasmania. They got to a certain point down there, and for some reason, in the middle of nowhere, they ran into military personnel who told them to turn around and go back.
Does that not tell you everything?
Well, it tells me a whole lot.
And then nothing.
It tells me a whole lot insofar as what's going on down there. There are a lot of things down there that would make people really sit up and take notice, which is why the military is down there trying to hold off on all the different things that they have found out for themselves and not let that get out into the public domain.
There's military personnel stationed at a lot of places in the middle of nowhere that you would not expect. I know there's military personnel stationed in the Blue Mountains in New South Wales.
Yep.
I know there's military personnel stationed in the Grand Canyon. There's an alleged cave, a very, very, very big cave entrance in the middle of a cliff face that you'd have to be very, very tall to get up to. And it has military personnel guarding it.
And I wonder why.
Well, this particular cave had what they would call, or what they would reference as Nephilim Artifacts.
What were we saying? I think our Steve Meyers from our sister show Soul to Soul mentioned something about the fact that they also found something similar in, let me think of it, there was a group of Marines in Afghanistan that found something in a cave. Something almost like an anti-grav machine or something like that.
A Vimana?
A Vimana, that was it. A Vimana, which is from the Mahabharata, the Indian epic, and that was the ships that the gods used to fly around and create havoc all over the world. They were getting rid of the Kshatriya class, the warrior caste.
Or you could just call it a UFO.
That too. Looked like one. Looked like one indeed. But another story. Fascinating stuff. Nothing new under the sun, as they say. But yeah, we have to take a break, and we will return with more Beyond 3D.
Beyond 3D.
Welcome back to Beyond 3D. We're going to keep waxing philosophic here because Clint needs to shore something up insofar as an alien megastructure.
So, KIC 8462852 is located 14,080 light years from Earth. It has produced a series of bizarre light fluctuations that a team of scientists cannot explain, Matt.
Oh, I love that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff.
So a light fluctuation, let's say you had a torch and you put two of your fingers across the lens of the torch while it was on, that's a light flucture. That shadow that your fingers create is a light flucture. So this particular star, KIC 8462852, has a light flucture that passes over it quite often in a timed orbit.
Something's flying around it.
Well, they think it's in some kind of alien megastructure. Think of the rings of Saturn, or what's that video game called? Halo.
Oh yeah.
Same concept.
Okay. Saturn. The rings of Saturn. Think of the things they found there as well. And then you go to every planet in this solar system and you will find that there are some kind of structures on a lot of the moons and on a lot of the planets that will just literally curl your hair. But we're not allowed to talk about those because if you bring anything up like that and the science can't prove it, it's like no good. Which I think is an absolute bunch of bunk, because as far as I'm concerned, that's the stuff I find really, really fascinating.
Well, I mentioned to you before the Nephilim.
Yep.
Now, they've got many, many different names, everything from the Anunnaki to the Nephilim. Just think of human beings that are like 12 foot, 15 foot tall, some 20 foot tall. They've got them locked away in boxes, their skeletal remains.
They do.
In warehouses all across the world.
Oh, I believe it. That was the whole thing with the American Indian tribes, the so-called natives in the United States and the North American area. Most of the people back then will tell you that they were in Ohio, in Indiana, going through to Missouri and areas like that. There were conclaves of giants that were white-skinned, red hair, and they were warring with the Comanches and the Apaches and what have you.
A little bit of trivia. Do you know, you see a classic Bugs Bunny cartoon?
Yep.
And he bumps into a Native American?
Yep.
And they hold up their hands and they say...
How?
How? Do you know why they used to hold up their hands?
No, this is interesting.
To count the fingers. Because,
how interesting.
Because allegedly these Nephilim giants had 6 fingers.
6 fingers.
So what they used to do from a distance, just to make sure that they weren't a cannibalistic giant, they used to hold up their hands when they met someone from a distance and go, how? And give the other person a chance to count their fingers, or them to count the other person's fingers.
Very interesting. I like that. And what was the other one that had the 6 fingers and they were talking about it? The alleged Apollo 20 mission.
Oh, hello.
Which was, I forget the year, but it's when they went up, and you can actually go to the NASA website and you can get a mosaic of the area showing the ship that they went to. And within the ship they supposedly found what they call the Mona Lisa, which is an alien that was humanoid in form, and that being had 6 fingers on their hands. 6 digits, not 5.
Why have I never heard of that?
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious. That was 1972.
Apollo 20.
Yeah, I was about 1 year old.
Okay. Well, there are videos of it. I looked at it, and then you look on the moon in this crater, and you see this ancient ship. And quite frankly, it's there. What I did was not just take the video that I saw on YouTube at face value. I went to the NASA website, and they had a reference. You can actually look up the photo, zoom in, and you can see that ship is there.
Should the moon not rotate?
Yeah, the moon is weird. I said this before. The moon is
I know that I just derailed what you were talking about there.
No, totally. It has to do with the moon, but this is the whole thing. There are so many different things going on the moon, and a lot of the pictures that NASA tried to blur out during the Apollo missions, computers being the way they are now, you can go back in and remove a lot of the blurred images, the blurred out pixels, let's say, and find that, oh, look, there is a factory, there is a warehouse there, there's a whole lot of structure there. If you look up, there's actually what we'll do, I will put the picture of the Mona Lisa found from Apollo 20 up on our Facebook page this week, and that way everybody can take a look at it, because it is absolutely fascinating. Very, very intriguing, very interesting.
There's many irregularities in regards to the moon.
It's because it's an artificial structure.
Well, everybody, there's a lot of people these days would swear that the moon was engineered.
I think it was. I've read books. We've read a lot of books that have been discussing the moon, and we're talking about Indian saints that will tell you that there were people living on the moon. Now, some people will say that's wacky. Personally, I don't care. I didn't write it. This is what a person who is quite advanced,
well, it's older
not just in time, but in spiritual development, saying this.
It's older than the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So should not we be rotating around it?
Oh, there's a whole lot of things going on with that.
Sorry, that was ridiculous what I just said, because we rotate around the sun.
We do. You're right, we do. I thought I had a picture on my phone of the Mona Lisa from Apollo 20. I'm looking to see whether I have it or not.
Is it in your family photos folder?
Yeah, it might be. It's a fascinating pic. No, I downloaded it onto the computer, so what I'll do is I'll put it up on the Facebook page. But when you look at, they actually went into the ship, found this pilot.
This is starting to sound like the story
like a Stargate or something?
The story of Prometheus.
Well, kind of, sort of. But they literally found them, I'll put in, if you put in Apollo 20 Mona Lisa, it'll come up with a photo. I gotta let you see this thing while we're doing this right now, because it's really a fascinating study what they did. And yeah, I'll bring it up bigger.
Hang on.
So you can take a look. And it brings up the ship and everything like that. So there you go.
What is that I'm looking at?
The 4 pictures here are what they actually found on the ship. This is a rendering based upon what they found. If you look up here, this photo here, that's exactly the way it was found.
Is that mummified?
That's what they're trying to say. This is supposedly hundreds of thousands of years old. This was the photo as they found it inside the Apollo. This was brought back. You're talking about warehouses that have things. This allegedly was a mission that was done, and this being was brought back from this ship on the moon.
I'm putting that on the Facebook right now. That is, what am I looking at?
That is the ship. I can get you to the NASA JPL webpage. The photo, a mosaic of the moon, which will show that ship still up there, is there.
Is that, in that second picture I'm looking at below, is that a scale of it?
That would be the scale of the ship, yeah, when you compare it to, I guess, Manhattan or something like that.
It's the size of all of New York.
But this is the thing. There's a lot of information about this out there. You can literally go online, guys, and I'll put a link up for that as well. You can take a look at the mission itself. You can see exactly what these guys were doing.
If anybody wants to jump on YouTube right now, it's called Super Nibiru 1. That's the channel.
And so go for that and take a look. It's a very interesting study. This photo here
You can't say that because nobody can see it at home.
Okay, the photo I'm looking at is on the moon, and that is the alleged ship there.
That looks like something out of Prometheus.
Okay, well, Prometheus wasn't out when I first saw this.
No, I know.
So,
but it's got that design style to it.
Yes, but according to what happened in this mission, they went up there, they went up to this ship, they got in it, that person was in it, they brought that person back. That is what is being stated. Now, there are a lot of people who will say it's a load of hooey, but the fact of the matter is, as far as I am concerned, it's not a load of hooey. You can't disprove it. And the hard part, and I really think it's a shame, is yes, there's Photoshop, there's all kinds of things going on these days, but quite frankly, you can go to, I'll say it for the third time, you can go to NASA's website and bring up a mosaic of the entire area and zoom in on certain coordinates, and you will see in a crater that self-same ship. It's there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It is. It's a freaky little thing, but if that was actually discovered, and I personally think it's pretty darn good that it was, hey, there's a whole lot more going on here. But then again, that's my whole philosophy when it comes to this stuff, is this place has been created and destroyed so many times it's not even funny.
Is that ship allegedly on the other side of the moon?
No.
You can see it here?
This side.
Okay.
It's not one of these dark side of the moon deals.
Okay.
No. Not at all. So yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah, I thought so. It's a fascinating look. So we'll put all that up on the Facebook page, and you guys can judge for yourself. Call us nuts, call us crazy, but the fact of the matter is, hey, this kind of stuff is going on. Truth is stranger than fiction.
What do you got in front of you?
In front of me, I have Nexus Magazine, and don't forget, guys, June 18th to the 20th of this month is the Nexus Conference up in the Sunshine Coast, Queensland. Duncan and the guys will be up there, and they will have a fantastic conference, and we'll put the link up on that as well on the Facebook page for the Nexus Conference. But this is...
And Matt, anybody can go to that.
Anyone is invited to go to that. This is going up on the Sunshine Coast. If you are into...
anything alternative.
Any kind of alternative studies, and when it comes to esoteric sciences, when it comes to Yowies, Yetis, Bigfoots, all kinds of xenobiology, exobiologies, all these different kinds of things, this is the kind of conference you can go to. A lot of different scholars come, they speak, they give you their latest research, you'll learn.
Mediums?
Spiritual mediums, psychic mediums, ghosts, any kind of topic is open for discussion. There are a lot of different things going on.
And they've got lots of guest speakers too.
Plenty. So it's a weekend. You go to a hotel, you have a good time, you can listen to different people talk, you get up information, you meet people that are like-minded and are looking to expand
your mind.
Expand the mind, and that's what these conferences are about. But I digress. In this episode of Nexus Magazine, which is the April-May 2016 issue, taxi drivers report ghost passengers in areas devastated in the 2011 tsunami. And it goes on to say, in the early summer of 2011, a taxi driver working in Ishinomaki in Japan's Miyagi Prefecture, which had been devastated by the tsunami a few months earlier, had a mysterious encounter. A woman who was wearing a coat climbed into his cab near Ishinomaki Station. The woman directed him, please go to Minahimaha District. If I said that wrong, pardon me.
That was very good, Matt.
I try. Anyway, the driver in his 50s asked her, that area is almost empty. Is it okay? The woman said in a shivering voice, have I died? Surprised at the question, the driver looked back at the rear seat and no one was there. Considering
16,007 people were killed in that tsunami itself, and 16,056 people have since also died from Fukushima, it wouldn't surprise me all that energy still hanging around.
Yeah, that district is called Minamihama. That's the correct pronunciation of it. But to me, that's very interesting. The exact same thing happened with the Bali bombings. A few people I know that were healers actually went over to Bali right after this happened, and they saw ghosts, and they felt really the energy of the very scattered energy of people who didn't know whether they were still alive or gone, and hadn't, whether they had passed over or not. So it's a fascinating study to see exactly what's going on with something like that. So it's a very interesting article. You would find this article, and it continues on in the May issue of Nexus Magazine, and it's just fascinating to read this kind of stuff. There are a whole lot of things going on. A lot of people talk of after images, ghosts, and things like that. Personally, I think it's more than just ghosts. I think it's the fact of the matter is we are all conscious beings, and this consciousness moves, and when something happens that's traumatic and quick, bam, all of a sudden you've been in a physical body, and all of a sudden you find yourself out of that physical form. What they say is when you go to the etheric and then ultimately the astral, you look the same. It's just the body, the physical body of Earth you don't need anymore, but it takes people a while to get used to the fact that they're no longer in a physical body. So a lot of times if something happened jarringly, it's, am I dead? Am I alive? What the heck is going on here? So it's a fascinating read.
And you can't destroy energy.
Nope.
And that's what we are. We're energy.
We sure as heck are.
And that's all we have time for this week.
Indeed. So, thanks guys for listening in. We'll put the stuff on the Facebook page that we talked about tonight, and we will catch you next week for another edition of Beyond 3D.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.